After visiting Thirukkalipalai, Tiruthanai and Tirunavalur, he arrived at Kachapuram, that is Tirukkachur, entered the shrine, made repeated prostrations and sang prayers in mellifluous voice. Reaching the outskirts of the town, he again suffered pangs of hunger and wondered what to do. Then the Lord, who is like a mother, appeared again, this time as an old priest, and accosted the hunger-struck Sundara sitting on the bare ground, who was unable to move a step forward. Then the Lord himself went into the town with a begging bowl and collected food from a few affluent houses, returned and fed Sundara with his hands. Once Sundara had his fill, he could see the priest no more. Only then did it occur to him that the nourisher was none other than the universal Father. Mentally paying his respects to him, he proceeded to Kanchipuram.
Muduvai ori kadara Muduvai ori kadara Mudukattu erikundu aadal muyalbane Muduvai ori kadara Mudukattu erikundu aadal muyalbane erikundu aadal muyalbane Maduvar konrai puduvi soodum malayan magal tan manavada manavada Maduvar konrai puduvi soodum malayan magal tan manavada Kaduvai tallayil பலினி கொள்ள கண்டால் அடிய கவலரே கவலரே கதுவாய் தலையில் பலினி கொள்ள கண்டால் அடிய கவலரே அதுவே ஆமாறு அதுவே ஆமாறு இதுவோ கச்சு.
After a long stay at Sri Kalahasti, he left that place and walked towards Sri Bandakapuram, also known as Thiruvottriyur, near Chennai. At the outskirts of the town, he was accorded a grand welcome by devotees with sacred water pots. It was also here that the celestial damsel Anindita, attendant of Mother Parvati, had incarnated as the daughter of a Shiva Bhakta. She was named Sangli Nachiyar. One day, Sundara, who was camping in the town, went to the shrine for the darshan. As he was passing by the virgin mud, his eyes fell on the comely form of Sangli sitting and working on a garland for the Lord. He could not take his eyes off her, and the more he stared, the more righteous became his senses. Summoning courage, he inquired about her from the maids. They revealed to him her identity and described her dedicated services to the Lord. These facts strengthened Sundara's attraction for her and made him lose his heart to her completely. Fully convinced that his Lord could fulfill his wish, he walked up to the sanctum and beseeched Kameshwara, the Lord, to enable him to win Sangli's heart. He petitioned the Lord repeatedly in form of songs to unite him with Sangli at once. At long last, Tyagesa's heart melted and he graciously granted Sundara's prayer in a subtle voice. Sangli shall be yours tomorrow. Lament no more. It's a promise. The same night, Tyagesa appeared in a dream to Sangli and told, "There is a great devotee of mine by name Sundara. He ardently seeks your hand in marriage. O fair lady, it befits you to accept him as your husband." When she referred Sundara's previous marriage, the Lord said, "Sundara avowed to stay in my presence and hence would not leave you." Then the Lord told Sundara what all occurred between him and Sangli and bade him to take an oath in his presence never to forsake his place, come what may. Sundara considered a while and replied, "My Lord, I shall do your bidding. But when I take the oath in front of you, kindly withdraw your presence from the lingam and rest a while at the Mahila tree. Shiva nodded assent to this malicious player, but promptly returned to Sangli and advised her. When Sundara proposes to make his oath before the lingam, insist upon him to make it in the shade of the Mahila tree nearby. When they met in the morning at the shrine of Sri Tyagaraja, Sundara came forward eagerly to her and said, "O matchless beauty, come, let's hasten to the sanctum where I can give you my word." Sangli gently interrupted and spoke in a soft but firm tone. "I shall accede to your wish if you can make your oath under the Mahila tree." Sundara's face paled at this sudden turn of events, but soon composing himself, agreed to the proposal. Holding her hand, he went around the tree 3 times and declared, "O Sangli of peerless form, I shall be united with you for life and promise not to leave you ever. I speak this truth in Shiva's presence." The Lord appeared in a dream to all his devotees in that center and commanded them to arrange for the wedding rites, and the wedding took place in full pomp and glory. Sundara and Sangli spent time frolicking in a sea of connubial bliss. Time flitted like a wind. But soon the gentle Malaya breeze wafted across the country. It brought a train of sweet memories of Kamalalayam, Lord Tyagaraja, and his spring festival to Sundara, who was presently love-locked in Sangli's company. He stealthily slipped away one night towards Sripuram without Sangli's knowledge. Even before he reached the outskirts, he lost his vision entirely and was attacked by leprosy. It was a double blow for Sundara for having forsaken his home and his beloved Sangli. What a horrendous punishment for his transgression! For the first time, Sundara experienced how miserable the body could be. Feeling wretched by this unforeseen disability, he returned to Thiruvotriyur and pleaded for mercy. There was no response, however. Then, with the help of wayfarers, Sundara approached Madhavi Purishwara, that is Vada Tirumullai Vail, but could not elicit the sympathy there either. He proceeded to Chayavaneshwaram, that is Thiruvenpakam, and prayed longingly. Here too the reply was silence. Infuriated at this, he shouted, "Is Shiva there in this temple or not?" This had some effect. Responding in affirmation, the Lord vouchsafed him a golden shaft to help him on the way. Sundara, the friend of the Lord, threw the golden shaft in rage, and it hit the Nandi and broke one of its horns. Thinking that the Lord's grace was limited for the time being, Sundara resumed his journey and reached Vataranyam, that is Thiruvalangadu. Hymning the Lord there, he reached Kanchipuram.
பிழையுள்ளன பொறுத்திடுவர் என்றடியேன் பிழைத்தக்க பிழையுள்ளன பொறுத்திடுவர் என்றடியேன் பிழைத்தக்கால் பழியதனை பாரமே படலம் எங்கள் மறைப்பீத்தாய் பழியதனை பாரமே படலம் எங்கள் மறைப்பீத்தாய் கூடை வீரவு படிக்காத கூடை வீரவு படிக்காத கோயில் உள்ளாயோ என்ன கூடை வீரவு படிக்காத கோயில் உள்ளாயோ என்ன உடையுடையான் உள்ளிருந்து உளோம் போகீர் என்றானே உடையுடையான்
At Kanchipuram, after paying his respects to the bounteous Kamakshi, the Divine Mother, he arrived at the portals of Ekamranada's shrine, saluted the Lord with his palms joined high above his head, and prostrated again and again. The Lord, who had the sun, the moon, and the cosmic fire as his 3 eyes, now considered to forgive Sundara, whose eyes were blinded by lust. The Lord, whose consort was Kamakshi, and the one whose mere glance fulfills bounteous desires, saw it appropriate to give him vision on at least one eye, the left one. Lo, Sundara could see once again, though only with one eye. Contented, he consoled himself for the partial grace and paid repeated obeisance to the Lord. On his way to Sripuram, he halted at Kutralam and prayed to Kustaleshwara, O Almighty Lord, you who burn the leprosy called world, remove my disease and make my body shine like gold. Further, make me whole in all respects. To this effect, he sang a hymn by which the Lord was pleased and bade him in a celestial voice, O Prince of Devotees, there is a tank here which removes all diseases, including leprosy, of those who bathe in its waters. This is certain. Sundara was overjoyed at this gracious direction and plunged into the tank of cool, pellucid, and sanctifying waters. Lo and behold, his body shone like burled gold, rid of all diseases. Thenceforth, this place earned the nickname Kushtalam, meaning remover of leprosy.
மின்னுமா மேகங்கள் பொழிந்திழிந்தருவி வெடிபட கரையொடும் திரை கொணந்து எற்றும் மின்னுமா மேகங்கள் பொழிந்திழிந்தருவி வெடிபட கரையொடும் திரை கொணந்து எற்றும் அன்னமாங்காவிரி அகன்கரை உறைவர் அன்னமாங்காவிரி அகன்கரை உறைவர் அடிகிணை தொழுதழும் அன்பரமடியார் அடிகிணை தொழுதழும் அன்பரமடியார் சொன்னவார் அறிவார் துருத்தியார் வேள்வி குடியுளார் அடிகளை செடியனே நாயேன் சொன்னவாறு அறிவர் துருத்தியார் வேள்வி குடியுளார் அடிகளை செடியனே நாயேன் என்னை நான் மறக்குமாறு எம்பெருமானே என்னை நான் மறக்குமாறு எம்பெருமானே என்னுடம்பு அடும்பிணி இடர்கெடுத்தானே என் உடம்பு அடும்பிணி இடர்கெடுத்தானே.
Sundara reached Kamalayam by the night and hid himself in the corner of the temple. Once the visitors ceased to come, he came out, approached the sanctum, and hymning the Lord Tyageshwara in diverse ways, pleaded for restoring the vision in the right eye. The all-compassionate Lord granted his wish. Thus, his vision made whole, Sundara danced in wonderment and joy and joined the other devotees in the 1,000-pillar Devasriya Mandapam. Sundara wasted no time in sending some messengers to Parva's house for a reconciliation. Seeing them, Parva became furious. Blasting them with harsh words, she shut the door in their face. The poor men returned in haste to Sundara and related their bitter experience. Sundara then resorted to the glorious golden hand, Suvarnabahu, verily the Lord Tyagaraja, to help him out by pacifying Parva and reuniting them. Moved with this entreaty of his loving devotee, the Lord Tyagaraja, in the guise of a Brahmana, trod the ground with his hallowed feet and reached Parva's mansion. Seeing the respectable Brahmana, she invited him to her inner chamber, washed his holy feet, worshipped him, and asked him the motive of his visit at such a late hour. When Parva understood the motive, she warned the Brahmana messenger, "It does not befit your greatness to engage yourself on such a lowly errand. You may please leave now." Tyagesa briefed Sundara on his futile mission and said, "Your very name makes her erupt like a volcano." Then the Lord, moved by Sundara's plight, consoled him and said, "Well, well, poor soul. Let me try one more time." This time, feasting on the Lord's glorious darshana, Parva was overwhelmed at this unsolicited condescendence. It could be Shiva alone who came in the guise of a Brahmana and was chased out by me in ignorance and arrogance, she realized. Soon Parva clasped the Lord's feet and begged for pardon. The Lord responded in an affirmative and reassuring smile. Sundara, having understood the happenings, praised the Lord repeatedly and reached Parva's mansion. They enjoyed a wonderful life with their hearts and minds surrendered to the Lord of universe. After some time, Sundara undertook a pilgrimage to Kshetrams in Pandya country. He visited Rameshwaram and from there he sang a decade of Devaram on Lord Kedishwara of Sri Lanka.
நத்தார்படை ஞானன் பசுவேரி நனை கவிழ்வாகாய். நத்தார்படை ஞானன் பசுவேரி நனை கவிழ்வாகாய். மத்தம் மதயானை மத்தம் மதயானை ஊறி போர்த்த மணவாளன். மத்தம் மதயானை ஊறி போர்த்த மணவாளன். பத்தாகிய தொண்டர் தோழும் பாலாவியின் கரைமேயே. பத்தாகிய தொண்டர் தோழும் பாலாவியின் கரைமேயே. செத்தார் கேளும் பணிவான் செத்தார் மேலும் பணிவான் திரு கேதீச்சரத்தானே. செத்தார் மேலும் பணிவான் திரு கேதீச்சரத்தானே.
After visiting Ingoi Malai and other places, Sundara reached Tirupandi-Kodumudi in the banks of river Kaveri in the Kongu Nadu. Overtaken by the beauty of the Lord, he sang the renowned Namachivaya Thirupadigam with the words Sollumna Namachivayave, meaning my tongue will keep saying the name of the Lord Namachivaya at the end of every song.
மற்று பற்றனக்கின்றி நின்றிரு பாதமே மனம் பாவித்தே. மற்று பற்றனக்கின்றி நின்றிரு பாதமே மனம் பாவித்தேன். பெற்றலும் பிறந்தேன் இனி பிறவாத தன்னை வந்தேகினேன். கற்றவர் தொழுதேத்தும் சீர் கரையூரி பாண்டி கொடுமுடி. நற்றவா உனை நான் மறப்பினும் சொல்லும் நான் நம சிவாயவே. நற்றவா உனை நான் மறப்பினும் சொல்லும் நான் நம சிவாயவே.
Later, Sundara went to Tirukandiyur and worshipped the Lord there. From there, he wished to cross river Kaveri and visit Thiruvayyaru on its northern banks. The river was in full spate and there was no means of crossing it. Sundara sang a decade of Devaram and the river parted, paving way for Sundara to cross. He crossed the river and went to Thiruvayyaru and worshipped the Lord Panchanatishwara. He also met his friend and fellow devotee Cheranman Peruman there. Once, while Sundara was touring Kongu Nadu, he was carrying a lot of gold and other valuables given to him by his friend Cheraman Perumal. On his return, Sundara was camping near Tirumurugan Pundi and Lord Shiva sent his attendants in the form of hunters to rob off all the valuables from Sundara. The heartbroken Sundara appealed to the Lord in the temple of Murugan Pundi with a decade of Devaram. By the grace of the Lord, he got back his valuables in the temple.
கொடுகு வெஞ்சிலை வடுக வேடுவ விரவலாமை சொல்லி. கொடுகு வெஞ்சிலை வடுக வேடுவ விரவலாமை சொல்லி. திடுகு முட்டன குத்தி திடுகு மொட்டன குத்தி கூரை கொண்டாரலை குமிடம். திடுகு மொட்டன குத்தி கூரை காடுகர்வாள் முருகன் பூண்டி மாநகர்வாய் முருகன் பூண்டி.
Once Sundara, on his way to visit his friend, the king of Chera, Cheranman Peruman, approached the town of Avinashi and entered the local temple there, where groups of devotees were engaged in devotional chants. As he faced the Gopuram and contemplated on the Lord, he heard nearby auspicious sounds of celebration along with pitiful wails. Upon inquiry, it was found that 2 years ago, 2 Brahmana boys went near a deep pond which contained lotuses in full bloom. One of them jumped into the waters to pluck a lotus flower when a crocodile swallowed him. Since then, the boy's parents had been dragging their lives in agony. Now, the surviving boy is being invested with the sacred thread, causing painful reminiscence to the family of the lost boy. Moved to the core of his being by this story, Sundara approached the mourning parents and spoke consoling words. Sundara poured out his heart to the Lord in strains invoking sympathy and mercy. As he sang, he walked to the pond, which was presently dry. The whole village gathered there to watch the proceedings. His song completed, Sundara stood there with his hands joined high above his head in salutation. Lo and behold, by the command of Paramasiva, the pond brimmed with cool, refreshing waters. Soon a giant crocodile swam ashore and released the boy from its jaws. The speechless parents fell at the feet of Sundara, seeing him as Siva personified. The celestials rained torrents of flowers and played on musical instruments which echoed through heaven and earth.
எத்தான் மறக்கேன் எழுமைக்கும் எம் பெருமானையே எத்தான் மறக்கேன் எழுமைக்கும் எம் பெருமானையே உத்தா என்று உன்னையே உத்தா என்று உன்னையே உள்குகின்றேன் உணர்ந்து உள்ளத்தால் உத்தா என்றுன்னையே உள்குகின்றேன் உணர்ந்துள்ளத்தால் உணர்ந்து உள்ளத்தால் உணர்ந்து உள்ளத்தால் புத்தாடரவ புக்கோழியூர் அவிநாசியே புத்தாடரவ புக்கோழியூர் அவிநாசியே 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 பட்டக வாழ்வே பசுபதியே பரமேட்டியே பட்டக வாழ்வே பசுபதி